What a stupid idea. Who wants a
podcast
at 3 in the morning?
Oh boy, 3 a.m.
Good morning, Mitch.
Good morning, Joey.
And good morning to all of you out there. Thank you for tuning in to the 3 a.m. podcast, the most convenient podcast at the most inconvenient time. Okay. I see what you're trying to do, and I'm not going to let it get to me. That's fine, because I don't want this to be a reoccurring gag and have to acknowledge it every single episode.
Do you know what also could be a reoccurring gag?
What?
Poop fiction.
All right, well, I'm going to move on from that. So, Mitch, how was your... What are you doing? What you just trying to do?
I was leaning in to kiss you on the cheek.
Yeah, well, don't do that, okay?
Okay.
Okay, Mitch. Mitch, how was your week?
It was pretty good. I did a little bit of this, a little bit of that, worked my crappy job, and jumped back into World of Warcraft.
World of Warcraft? Oh, because WoW Classic?
Yeah,
Did
dude.
that just come out like a couple days ago?
Yeah, it was very recent. Well, probably not.
Well, by the time this recording comes out, it won't be recent.
Yeah, it will be out for several weeks. But depending on if you knew or not, WoW Classic came out, and it's been a wild ride, let me tell you.
I did see like the trailers for WoW Classic, and it's like all about getting back to that nostalgic feel from like, what, 2006? Is that how far back they went?
It's been out for... World of Warcraft has been out for 15 years, so they released WoW Classic, and it's back to the 2004 sort of...
Oh,
build.
that's really cool. Because I've never played WoW before, so I actually have no idea what World of Warcraft even looks like now, you know? So that's why I'm looking it up. Because I know what WoW Classic looks like the gameplay and all the characters, the graphics, all that. It doesn't look that different. Am I even looking at the right thing?
Yeah.
I
think that's what has kept World of Warcraft so relevant, is that they have kept this cartoonish style that they really can only really just update in resolution, and it will still look great.
Well, yeah, that's like Minecraft too.
Exactly.
I don't think I can include Minecraft on that conversation, because Minecraft is a completely different game. I think World of Warcraft was just playing to their strengths when they were making the game back in 2000, whenever the game
early
came
2000s.
I came in.
But
Yeah.
I think that there is a discussion to be had with Minecraft and that whole sort of pixelized, sort of cartoonish style that has kept it sort of relevant. Because you jump back in and you're like, it doesn't look like garbage.
Yeah, you just get back right where you left off. I mean, that's one thing I very much admire about, you know, when it comes to like video games or creators or movie makers, that they don't. I feel like I feel like a creator who knows how to play to his strengths or knows how to use what he has, instead of trying to be something he's not. I think the results for whatever you're trying to do come out a lot better than when, you know, I feel like I'm doing a really bad job explaining that. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yes. It's all about finding your limitations and working within those limitations to create something that looks good at the time you're doing it and can also stay relevant over time.
Right. For example, I'm in this digital painting class right now, and, you know, I don't have, there's some kids in there who have like professional tablets, and they have like the gloves, and they know how to use Photoshop with all the brushes, all the unique like techniques of how to make their compositions come alive. But when I'm there, I just have like the little renter's tablet that I got from our department, and I just plug it into my computer. But, you know, I'm not going to try and go out of my way to make something like really amazing, first off, because I don't know how to do that. So for right now, I'm just going to play to what I know. And so while these people are making these like really realistic paintings in Photoshop, I'm just using like little charcoal brushes, and I'm trying to bring together my piece through that style, because that's all I like. Yeah. I can do that. Like, I don't know a lot about shading. I don't know a lot about this. So I'm just playing to a specific art form to match my, not saying that like a charcoal drawing is any less impressive than anything else, but for what I have and what I'm able to do, I'm just gonna do it that way because I know it'll be a better piece if I tried really, really hard to do something that I'm like that's completely out of my skill set.
Yeah, and I think there's something to be said about that too when it comes to art in general, is that a lot of the times if it's very, very professional and sometimes very, very clean looking, you lose sort of the sense of authenticity and connection to the creator. Because I think a large portion of art is that the connection of looking at that and going, yeah, someone spent a lot of time making that. And that's why when I love going to art museums and walking really up close to the paintings, and if I can see the brush strokes in the paint, like that just makes me feel so much more connected to the piece, and it makes it even that much more impressive to me because you can really see the hand at work, and that's crafting the piece. And I think that there's a sense of authenticity to that I think is slowly being scrubbed out of sort of digital creativity.
And yeah, I agree. And so I think knowing all of that, I think that really plays into like why World of Warcraft is probably, lasted as maybe I'm wrong about that. I'm just talking about the art style in general because like it hasn't really changed that much, and they're just, I don't know. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I totally get it. And speaking about stuff that's really, really old, like what else has lasted this long that we can go back and remember? I think that's what's so unique about this game, is that it's lasted so long, and it's lasted so long where it has to release another version of itself to cater to nostalgia.
What about, isn't that what Call of Duty is doing right now with Modern Warfare?
Ooh, yeah. Good call, dude.
I don't know if they're remastering it. Did they do that?
Yeah, I think
Modern Warfare
that's
2?
I think so. And then I think that they have a new one coming out in November, right? That's just a remake of Modern Warfare.
I don't know. I think the last game like I was personally invested in within that franchise was probably Modern Warfare 3. Like that was the last one I bought.
Yeah, I don't know. I think me and my brother mainly played a lot of Call of Duty, but I think the last one that I really got into like online and whatnot was World at War.
World at War. Okay, yeah.
That's the Call of Duty one.
I think the one I really got
the World War II one. It's a Call of Duty game.
I can't remember all of them. There's too many now. Modern Warfare 3 was definitely like the one I was invested in. And it's not a great game. I just remember like that was the game I was playing at the time. But getting back to what you were saying about games and like their what would the word be? A game that has like lasted this long. It's
relevance.
Sure, that's exactly the word. I think a game that can hold its relevance for this long is a mark of what a true game is. Like WoW and Minecraft. And
if I want to say something real quick, because a game that has lasted way longer than I think anyone has ever thought that it could be, even the original creators, is the original Battlefront 2. There are people...
on the original Xbox?
Yeah, and in the PC version, if you go on Steam, there's still like thousands of people playing that game a day.
Star Wars game, right?
Yeah, the Star Wars Battlefront 2 from like 2005.
Yeah, that game is fantastic. And and also Modern Warfare 2. There's still people playing Modern Warfare 2 because that game is amazing.
Dude, isn't that absolutely wild? And like if you compare like because we have a perfect comparison. We have the new Battlefront 2 and then the old Battlefront 2.
Have you played the new Battlefront 2?
I have. And I have to say something really quick, is that the spaceship fighting in that game is off the chain. I fucking love that, dude. Yeah, in the new one. Yeah. It's so much fun.
I haven't played the new one. I only played the first one.
Yeah. I don't know. I never got into it too deep. I only played it for like 5 or 6 months. Like on the weekends, so like once a week for 5 or 6 months. But I had fun with the spaceships. That was fun. But the ground combat really wasn't that great.
I remember me and my brother playing the original Battlefront 2, and just it's just so much fun, dude. It was a great game. I'm actually surprised that you dug that one up, because that's great.
It's so much. It's just a wild time. It is. It's you got the rocket launcher guy, the sniper guy.
See, that's okay. That's something I actually liked about that game, is that you just picked a class and then you're just giving all these things. But now we're in a time where, I'm going to I have my account, I'm my own character, and I make my own 5 classes and swap out all the secondary weapons, the primary weapons.
I blame Call of Duty Modern Warfare for that. They were the first
sucks.
game to do it, and it did create this unique level of customization that you can have with your multiplayer experience. But I think that the class system creates a much better balance. It's easier to design.
Yeah, and now it's even worse in the newer games because they put in like all the loot boxes, and now you're trying to earn the things to unlock, and then once you unlock it, then you have to pay the credits to get it.
And you have these star cards instead of perks that you just get randomly.
See, that's why I never bought the game, because I always had the idea that they're not gonna, make it better than the first one. And the first one's not even that great. There's like no.
The first one definitely sucked.
It wasn't finished.
Yeah, there was no like offline. There was never a real solid offline experience. So it was all online, and it just was not very fun.
See, okay, that's one thing. Is that I'm all for a interactive experience with people around the world, but when a game is solely relied on multiplayer, that's when I'm instantly gonna like lose connection. Have you ever played Sea of Thieves?
Yeah, okay. I played it for a little bit.
My 2 brothers love that game. And I would love that game too. It's just I'm too cheap to buy the game right now. And I don't have a lot of like online friends to play that game with. So if that game was more of a single player based game, then I would definitely have bought it for myself so I could at least enjoy the game while, I'm, by myself. But seeing that, like, you can play the game by yourself, sure, but when you're one person on a boat and you're just sailing across the ocean and you meet, and then everyone around you are a group of 4 who could easily just sink your ship and take everything from you, then the game's just not fun. If you're alone, then there's no point in playing the game. So I had to wait for for people who are available to play with me.
And then it's like, are you even getting the most money out of buying the game if it's like that?
No.
And this is kind of the problem that I had with the Tom Clancy game, the one where you are like a raider. Is it Tom Clancy Siege or whatever? But yeah, it's like if you don't have like 3 friends you're constantly playing with, it's really boring because you could just get set up with randos and you can't really like strategize very well.
Exactly. That's why I'm all for like interactive gameplay, but when it's solely relied on that, and let's say the campaign or the solo play is just not there, like it is in both Battlefront games, the newer ones, then it's just not worth my money, especially when EA is on board. Like,
I don't know. Stick to sports games, EA.
They're not even that good at that. NHL has been slacking.
Dude, I was actually gonna ask you about this, if you're gonna get it.
NHL 20?
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. I have NHL 19 here, but that was the first NHL game I bought since NHL 16, I think. Okay. So it's basically every 3 years I buy a new game.
I haven't played since NHL 14.
Seriously? Like you haven't played the game at all, or you've only been playing NHL 14 consistently?
No, I haven't played it since NHL 14.
Oh my God, you're in for a treat.
Oh, dude.
You know how it looks?
Heard that they completely changed it.
It looks really good. It looks good. And I'm not doubting that that they made improvements there. It's just when it comes to forwarding the game, there's just not much there.
Okay. Dude, you know what they should do with NHL 20 is they should incorporate like the you know how NBA 2K has the My Player system?
Oh yeah, we have that.
They did that for NHL.
I mean, okay, well, finish what you're gonna say.
Okay, because I think that's so cool. Because then you can do they have like their street basketball system with My Player, where you and your friends or you and a couple of guys can come in and do like 3-on-3 games of 2K against each other on like a half court.
Yeah, and then when you're doing my career, you can like have like sponsorship deals, and then you have like you do the interviews and all that cool shit. The only thing that happens in my career in NHL is that you're a player and you follow the schedule, and then when it's off season, you just skip to the next season. It's so boring. The 2K system is just so interactive. You tell a story. There's like a background. There's a whole story there, but
Which
NHL
is
just does not
super
capitalize that.
interesting, because if you go back in the day to older sports games, it's just, all right, do you want to play a game of football against the computer, or do you have another person there who's going to play as the other team?
See, this is where I'm going to start defending games like this. And people keep complaining. It's like, oh, every year NHL just, they bomb it. It's just not, it's not something. There's nothing new. There's nothing impressive. But the thing is that what else are they going to do? What else can they do to add to this game? We have come so far in technology and video game and motion tracking. Just how much farther can we go? I think just every year what's improving is the animations and the gameplay. But people just want more of the interactive stuff with the game. But they've pretty much done a lot of it.
Yeah, and I think that NBA 2K has done a really great job with this whole like storytelling element. It's almost like a basketball player RPG, which is super crazy.
And I wish the NHL would do that. It's just, that's okay. Let's say they do implement that. Then what else are we gonna wait for? There's just not much you can keep adding on to a game. All it can do is just look better and play better, which is fine, which is great, which is what happens every single year. But I just think people get really upset that it's not a new breaking game every year, which is not gonna be. That's impossible.
Yeah, especially with how sports games have been set up in the market now. It's expected every single year when the season of the sport starts that there's going to be a new game. And I think that really hinders a lot of the time of development too, because it takes years to develop a game, like a good AAA game, and it takes millions of dollars. So I think that when you're pressed with a once a year schedule, you don't get a lot of time to develop, and these developments take years to implement while they're still making this newer game. And I think that sports games in that like sort of environment have really suffered. And I think that that's relevant to Call of Duty too, because if you only have 1 year to make a new game, you're spending so much time on art and assets to make it look new and different that you're not really focused a lot of the times on game mechanics and balance. And I think that that's like the problem people have with Call of Duty or Madden, these people who are expecting something new from a new game, who I think more often come from a different realm in gaming where they expect new things to come out, kind of like people who have played the Elder Scrolls series or the Fallout series, who are expecting something new every single new release, who probably know that there's a new game every year. And I think that this is the thing with gamers too, that that gamers more often understand development more than any other sort of genre of entertainment. But I think that there's also that aspect of marketing that a lot of gamers tend to not understand, that it takes years to develop these new things.
Right. And that's I could not have said it more perfectly. That's so true, because like games do take years to develop, and if NHL or Madden were taking more time to make these games, then they would last longer. I mean, look at how long did it take for them to make GTA 5?
I think that game was in development for like over a decade, wasn't it?
Right. And now that game came out in 2013. It's 2019. People are still playing that game.
No, yeah. That huge return on investment, and it broke sales records. It moved to millions, like I think several millions of copies of that game were sold, and it's like one of the most sold games ever, or at least one of the most grossed income games.
What is the most grossed game?
Well, I know that Minecraft brags that it's the most purchased PC game.
I can't type to the mic. Ugh. Yeah, and that's Minecraft has sold more games over Tetris. GTA 5 is third. But you see what I mean? Like GTA, they took a long time to make that game, and people are still playing it. And that's great. And people keep asking, what about GTA 6? I don't think, is Rockstar even talking about GTA 6? Is that even on their mind right now?
I don't know, because they just came out with Red Dead 2.
Oh, that's right. They
came
did.
out as in like in the last 6 months, I believe, or like last year.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. This also gets into the marketing side of gaming too, where I think Bethesda really screws the pooch sometimes, because they'll have a announcement trailer and then they'll be like, okay, yeah, and now we just announced this game, so now you have to wait 2 years until it's finished.
I mean, I just, are you saying that it's wrong for them to do that so many years in advance?
Yeah, I think it's just the kind of the hype train thing where it's like you don't do that for a movie, you know? You don't like have a trailer for a movie 2 years before the movie is released, or even like before you even start really getting down to like finalizing scripts and actors and stuff, because they did this with Elder Scrolls 6 at the last E3. They had this announcement trailer and then everyone was excited.
Yeah, I saw that.
Everyone was excited, and they asked them in their Q&A when it was coming out, and they said, "Oh yeah, we haven't even started developing that yet. It's going to be like another 3 years."
All we know is that, we're just confirming that we had the idea to make it.
Yeah. It's like 3 years out. Like, that's when you like start writing a story and finalizing art. Like, they have nothing. So it's like, why show a trailer?
I'm looking at this list of the best-selling video games, and Minecraft is at 1. And if you're looking down this list of the platforms, Wii and Nintendo, just Nintendo in general, are killing it. Like multi-platform. Wii, Nintendo DS, Wii, multi-platform, Game Boy Color, NES, Wii. I'm actually surprised that Duck Hunt is on this list. Pokemon Gold, Silver, Crystal. There's a Nintendo DS game on this list. That's actually pretty incredible.
The thing with like Duck Hunt and a lot of those older games is that I think that's just having been around for so long, they've eventually sold this many copies.
Yeah, what about Tetris? I mean, are we talking about the original copy of Tetris? Because there's so many versions of Tetris. Like, I don't know what it's including.
I think that oftentimes Tetris gets way too much credit. I think that it's an incredibly popular and culturally relevant game, but to be number 2, I don't think that it's the actual first version of the game that has sold over 170 million copies. I severely doubt that.
Sales figure includes pay mobile downloads. Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So it includes like the mobile app.
Oh, okay, then that makes sense. Every GTA game is on this list, and so is I see a lot of Pokemon too. That's really great, man. That's amazing. Black Ops is on here. Red Dead 2, look at that. Newest release. What? Okay, so Red Dead is the newest in terms of initial release date. It's a 2018 game, and it's on this list. What is this? This is the top. I'm guessing this is the top 50. Yeah. It's got to be top 50 or something. But yeah, what were we talking about? We're talking about relevance. Yeah, I think a game that could dominate relevance is a true, in my opinion,
it's a testament of a good form of. It's a good piece of media if it's stayed around for so long.
If you put in enough time into thinking you want this to last a longer amount of time, then you're gonna receive those rewards. Just look at GTA 5.
Exactly.
Perfect example. Are people still playing Skyrim?
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure. Dude.
I need to play Skyrim. My brother's trying to get me to do that.
Yeah, dude. You should jump into Skyrim. It's still a pretty fun game. Now I have a little bit of bias towards Skyrim because it's the second one in the series that I've played, but I love it. I think it's also got like one of the best soundtracks of like any video game I've ever played. It's just such a great soundtrack, and I believe that the person who did its name is Martin Shore.
Just so we can give proper credit, we're actually gonna look it up. So which game is it? Skyrim 4?
It's just Skyrim. Yeah, it's Elder Scrolls 5.
Scrolls 5 composer.
Yeah. Jeremy Soule.
You were way off. That is not a Martin.
Yeah, Jeremy Soule. I think Martin Shore did like Halo or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, I think the word I was looking for was replayability. You know, a game that has, because you can come back to Skyrim, right? If you completed the game, like you can go back and play it 6 months later and have a good experience with it,
And
right?
the world and the quest lines are so huge that if you don't do the exact same thing every single time, you will eventually find and explore new things, which I think it makes those RPG games so much more fun than your sports games or your sort of one and done games, like kind of like Assassin's Creed. You know, it's this open world, but it's a very, very kind of on rails story. And to be completely honest, a YouTuber, Nakey Jakey, did a video about Red Dead 2, and he basically explained that, like, yeah, it's this very detailed open world, but really, like, it's not very open. You just go on the same on-rails sort of story that all the other games have kind of had, and he basically sort of explains that that's kind of an outdated way to do things, because games like Skyrim, I think, are more open to completing various quests in various ways, whereas Red Dead is very sort of story driven, and he basically tries to argue that it's outdated. And I think that video's good watch. Boys support boys, and it's I think he makes a great point about it.
Yeah, I mean, going back to what you're saying about the open world thing, I feel like there are a lot of games today that are just trying to make, we need a bigger map, more free roaming. But the problem is that they make these maps huge, but they're empty. There's nothing to do in them. You can make a huge map, and then people can explore, you know, the hell out of it, but there's nothing to get invested in, like a lot of quests or a lot of, you know, things to explore. Then there's no point in it.
Yeah, I think the epitome of that was the Mad Max video game. It was very, very huge, but it was filled with just nothing.
Yeah.
It was just an open desert. It was the sandiest sandbox game.
Sandiest sandbox game. So yeah, a game that has its replayability, I think we're seeing that a lot in a lot of older games, and I think that goes back to, like, you know, the nostalgia in it. Because, like, you know, I grew up playing Halo 3. I never played Halo 2. I played Halo 3, Battlefront 2. Our first Call of Duty game was World at War. And if you go back to those games, there's just that connection you had to it as a kid that you know, you're just feeling that same emotion again.
What do you think is the first video game that you ever played?
Bought? Okay, you gotta tell me which console.
No, like, what's the first video game you ever played?
Okay, that's a hard one. I'm sure
I'm gonna Google the one that I think I did, because it's really old.
Okay,
and I want to get the name right.
I mean, I'm sure I played, like, games, but I know I played, like, a few games on my cousin's Game Boy when I was a child. But I think the first video game I received as a kid, and I could call, like, my own copy of that game, was probably Pokemon Silver. What is this? All-Star Baseball?
1999.
What is this?
This is a really, really... Yep. The first video game I ever remember playing was All-Star Baseball 1999.
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, look at that.
I think we had it for the N64.
I never had any of the Nintendo systems. Man.
It was a wild ride.
Dude,
I still remember some of the music from it, and the way that the announcer would go, strike.
Dude, I remember playing Super Smash Bros. Melee, the first one on the N64?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I remember playing that at my neighbor's house, but I can't tell you what I could tell you the first video game I played on any system, but, like, my first video game, like, I can't say that.
It was All-Star Baseball 1999 on where I went to go be babysat as a young child, because both my parents worked. And then when me and my brother would come home, we had a Super Nintendo, and we had, I think, Mario 3.
Oh my God.
And we played Mario 3.
Yeah, dude, that sounds like a hell of a time. But I know I had Pokemon Silver on the Game Boy Color. I had the very first original Xbox.
Yeah, we had one too.
And that Xbox came with two games. It was one of them was the Incredible Hulk from 2003.
Yes.
And the other one was some
Ed Norton Incredible Hulk, dude.
No. Ed Norton is the 2008 one that starts off the MCU.
Oh, okay.
Or not starts off. I think Iron Man came out first, but no, this is the 2003 Hulk. So 2003 Hulk.
Eric Bana. That's who plays Hulk.
Yeah, this one. I played this game. See, now that's a nostalgia trip, man. It's wild. Like, I remember being the Hulk and just going absolute ape shit on just these random people.
Dude, do you remember? Okay, so my dad worked for a cable company. So a lot of the times they would have these expos for like cable and whatnot. Cable companies, I think is what it was for. And they would have like video game people there. And this is like back in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Okay.
And they would give out demo discs. So it would be like 15 games and they would all be game demos.
Yeah, so...
And that we played the shit out of those.
The second game that came with my Xbox was called Jet Set Radio Future. It was like a rollerblading game, and it was actually really fun. But yeah,
we had Slot Car 9000 or whatever, and it was slot car racing.
So there's a really great YouTube channel called Funhouse. It's probably my favorite gaming channel. They have this series that they do. It's called Demo Disc, where the fans send them demo discs and they play them. And these are just like the worst, like B-rated games ever. And it's so funny.
Oh, dude, we had some great demo discs. We had Ninja Gaiden and some sort of like modern shooter game that no one played.
I had the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game on the Xbox.
That's pretty lit.
It was a look. Dude, yeah, see, this is what I'm saying. The nostalgia in these games, they're not good games. I bet you in the time when these are coming, well, no. I bet you at the times these were coming out, I think since this was such a new thing, everyone was kind of impressed by them. But going back to them now, they're not good.
And it's kids games.
Sure.
They're
sure.
marketed towards children.
But in today's era, everyone's getting tired of what's okay. I remember when I was a kid, back in 2009 when I was first playing Minecraft, and everyone was saying like, people in my age group were playing Minecraft, but I bet you people who were older than me were looking at that game and be like, oh, that's a really like lame kids game. And it was huge, and it's huge now. But now Fortnite is here. Do you think that Fortnite has the relevance to stay around for so long? No, absolutely not. I don't know why it's still here. My point is that like the kids are playing it today, and I'm saying it's lame. I'm saying I bet you that
we're
Minecraft,
old curmudgeons now.
No, that Fortnite was my Minecraft. No, that Minecraft was my Fortnite.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
But I think
Fortnite needs to die.
Fortnite is doing everything right. They didn't go for a realistic graphic style, and their gameplay loop hooks in people.
Their gameplay loop? What do you mean?
The gameplay loop of starting off in the bus, and then you jump out, and then you collect stuff, and then See, that's I think that gameplay loop can be really addicting, and I think that without going for the realistic graphic style like PUBG did, they've maintained a longer longevity of relevance in graphical fidelity and their gameplay loop. I mean, like,
I wouldn't say relevance. I would say, people, a lot of people are still playing PUBG. Actually, I think the number one streamer on Twitch solely plays PUBG.
All I'm saying is Battle Royale. I think it's a good gameplay loop that stays relevant, and I think that Fortnite is going to be the people who are doing it the longest because they have a cartoonish style that draws in kids and looks good to older people too.
I think that should be a good good point to make, that just the most realistic graphics doesn't mean the best game.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Like, oh, dude.
Speaking of Battlefront, it looks gorgeous, but doesn't play that great. It sucks,
dude. Did you ever play Spider-Man 2 on the Xbox?
No, we didn't have Spider-Man 2. We had some X-Man game.
Dude, Spider-Man 2 apparently, like, that game is known to be like one of the best Xbox games. Period. Not only is it the best like Spider-Man game, but it's just the open worldness it introduced, because that was the first game where you were Spider-Man and you could swing around New York City.
Sounds like a wild ride.
There's also a really funny scene in it where you fight Mysterio for the third time. So like you meet, so there's I love this. So there's a whole Mysterio like arc story in that game. You meet Mysterio, then you challenge him, and then he challenges you again, and you fight him, and then the third time he comes up in the story, he's robbing a bank, and so when you walk in through the doors, he's like, "Oh, Spider-Man, I can't, I'm totally gonna butcher this, but like he's like, let's fucking fight." And so then his health bar appears on the top of the screen, and it fills up, then it fills up again, and it fills up again, and fills up again, like 4 times, thinking like, "Oh, this guy has like massive health." And so then the fight starts, and you're standing there in front of Mysterio, and you're like, "Oh shit, I gotta fight him now." And you run up to him, you punch him, and he dies in one hit. He doesn't die, he just gets knocked out.
Yeah.
But it's so funny. I love that scene.
Arkham Origins did that gag with the first boss fight that they have in that game. This dude like hypes you up. He's got like these electric gloves, and he's going like, "Rah!"
Oh,
and
the Arkham series?
Yeah,
I
in
really
Arkham
want-
Origins, and then you walk up and
want
the
to play
first
that.
punch you knock him out.
Yeah, so this is the mysterious scene. This is gonna be so pointless to everyone who's watching audio. See how his like health bar keeps going up
Oh yeah.
like 4 times, and then he challenges you.
You have trifled with my power for the last time. I will not hold back. You face your...
Yeah, then that's it. You punch him, and then he dies. All right, and he's done. What
a nerd.
It's so funny. That's so funny. See, a game like that is just that game clearly does not take itself seriously.
That is something that also I think that Fortnite has over PUBG, is that they know their audience, and they know how to not take themselves so seriously.
Yeah, I mean,
Say what you will about Fortnite, but they are pretty much doing everything right.
I hate that game. I want Fortnite to die so bad.
Could you imagine the original studio? That it was, because I think we talked about this in the first episode ever.
Yeah, I think we did.
About how they were just this like garbage Steam early access game, and then they just jumped on the battle royale wave when it was coming up, and now they're one of the most successful games right now.
Well, there is a whole thing about their newest season that a lot of people are pissed off about because they like
really?
They released something. I don't know. I don't pay attention. It's just my brothers. I just get this information from my brothers because they play it a lot. But they added like this battle suit thing that you can get into, and it's like super OP. It's like once you're in it, you might as well just like give up because you're not going to defeat it, and it just kind of ruins the entire experience for everyone.
Oof, that's not ideal.
Remember when Thanos was in Fortnite?
Aw, snap. Thanos. Oh, man.
See, dude, I don't know. The problem with the I mostly have with Fortnite is I don't see how it's still relevant because it's the same thing. You know what I mean? It's the same
You just aren't.
battle royale every single time.
You just aren't into that gameplay loop. That gameplay
Sure.
loop just doesn't get to you because
It
it's
gets
like Doodle
stale.
Jump. It's like Doodle Jump. It's just, or any other kind of like mobile app game where it's just the same thing every time, but somehow we find it addicting.
I get it.
Like cigarettes.
I mean, you know, no, not at all like cigarettes, but
Or eating glass.
okay, shut up. But so you know what I mean. It's just maybe I'm being a little hypocritical here because most video games are that one sort of thing.
Yeah.
They all have to be, but you know, yeah, I kind of just called myself out, didn't I?
I don't know.
Because I mean, I've owned Call of Duty, I've owned whatever games that I'm not mentioning right now, but they're all Call of Duty is the same thing. You log on to a server, do team deathmatch, then move on. I guess that's just that kind
That's
of
why
thing.
I
Is
play
just,
Battlefield, baby.
that's just kind of gone stale. What do you mean Battlefield?
Because Battlefield has been sort of pushing like the larger maps where you do like 64-player battles, and there's like objectives
That sounds
in the
super
multiplayer.
fun. That sounds super fun.
It was really fun in Battlefield 1 because it was World War 1 and it was exciting. But I
What
don't
is
know.
this game?
The newest one is, I think, Battlefield 5, right? And it's World War 2. Because
It went from 1 to 5.
Yeah, it was Battlefield 1 because it was World War 1.
And the newest game that came out was Battlefield 5.
5,
So it went
yeah.
from 1. Okay, that doesn't
Well,
make any sense.
they've been counting up, and Battlefield 1 is just kind of like, because there's no such thing as Battlefield 1. It was just Battlefield, Battlefield 2, Battlefield 3, Battlefield Bad Company, Battlefield Bad Company 2, Battlefield 4.
I never played Battlefield.
It was okay.
I hate this stupid podcast because everything is that you mention something that's of pop culture relevance, and I just
It's-
like, oh, I never watched that or I never played that.
I've never mentioned anything on this podcast that is relevant.
You told about Quentin Tarantino movies in the first episode.
And I also talked about Sweet Home Alabama, a rom-com from the early 2000s. And I'm talking about Battlefield, a game series that has been around for over a decade.
That's okay. Is that relevant or not?
I don't know. They've kind of lost a lot of relevance. There's a lot of controversy around Battlefield 5 that we don't want to get into that. We don't want to get into that.
Or we can and really piss some people off.
Yeah, I'm not touching that with a 30-foot pole.
That's another cringe reference.
Yeah, I just it is.
Okay.
I just make them without even knowing it now.
Okay, I think
love the Grinch. No, but that's the thing, right? Is that my friend Quinn was telling me this meme where there's only two things in life: haircuts. There's only normal and political. Games. There's only good games and political. And it's like, for some reason, like, everything's political now.
Time out. So you're saying there's only two things in life. So you take any subject, there's only good and political.
Yeah. Or
So it's
interesting, political.
So does that mean that political is the opposite of good? Because you're saying good then bad. You know, that's a normal.
Yeah, it's a meme. It's a meme, but it's kind
when
of
it gets
saying,
political.
like,
when it gets political, then it gets like people argue against it.
Yeah.
And there's always an opposing
exactly.
view. Yeah.
And sometimes those conversations are worth having, and sometimes I just don't. I don't want to talk about it. I just want to watch John Wick throw ninjas through a plain glass window. I don't want to talk about how modern feminism is, air quotes, ruining gaming.
I'm not gonna touch it.
Yeah, we don't talk about that here.
You said feminism. I was looking at my phone for a second. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I said
Feminism.
in quotes, feminism is ruining gaming.
You know what I was on a binge of yesterday?
What?
This is kind of relevant. That I was watching a lot of videos where people were just talking shit about The Last Jedi.
Yeah. Okay. So there are some great critiques of that movie and its narrative structure, and then there's just some ridiculous critiques about that movie.
I hate that movie.
See, I don't mind it.
No, I hate it. Like, it's so annoying.
There's some legitimate gripes to be had about The Last Jedi.
I'm gonna sum up my entire opinion on The Last Jedi in one scene.
All right, here we go.
You know the scene in the end of 7 when Rey stands there and she's holding the lightsaber, and oh my god, and
The
there's-
music swells.
and the music swells, and then we see Luke Skywalker for the first time in
Yeah.
an X amount of years, and then we wait a whole 2 years to see what happens when he gets the lightsaber, and it's like, oh my god, this is it. He takes it and he throws it off the cliff. What a gag! Oh my god, he got me, gotcha. I was like,
Got him.
I was so pissed when I saw that in the theater. I was like, you gotta be kidding me,
Dude,
And then,
yeah. Okay, here's the thing. Here's one of my gripes with that movie is it's subversive in quotation marks again. Subversion is only really successful when you use it to then critique something about the genre or about the story. The Last Jedi oftentimes, to me, this is like my opinion, man, but I felt that it was subverting expectations to subvert expectations. This is why Game of Thrones is really successful as a subversive fantasy story, as it sets up fantasy tropes and then subverts them to tell a message about the fantasy genre, or about life, or about how we view certain themes in our world, like family or honor or political maneuvering. And to me, a lot of the subversion in The Last Jedi was, it didn't really say much about science fiction or about Star Wars, or it felt like subversion with nothing to say, where it was.
so they're just trying to break your expectations by
Yeah.
throwing a curveball. And okay,
which can work.
I saw
but
a
it's
lot
better
of
when you have something to
articles where people were saying, "Oh, The Last Jedi breaks your expectations, and that's why it's such a great movie." I'm like, no, just because you break my expectations and you go beyond what people expect doesn't make it a good thing. Just because they
Exactly.
did something different doesn't mean it's good. And there's a whole thing that who's a director? Who was the director of 8?
Rian Johnson.
Rian Johnson. So apparently, J.J. Abrams, you know, since he helped with 7, he comes up to Rian Johnson. He's like, okay, so since I just did 7, here's the arc I have set out for 8 and 9, so we can have this all go full circle for the next director after you. And then Rian Johnson's like, oh, okay, I see totally what you're trying to do with these characters, but fuck you, I'm gonna go my own direction. That's legit what he did. Apparently, Rian Johnson took 0% of J.J. Abrams' script for the rest of these characters and their arcs through 8 and 9.
Yeah, and this is kind of why you need either this is why you need J.J. Abrams as a producer or someone on staff.
He's doing 9, so hopefully he can fix what Rian Johnson. I'm so pissed. And apparently, anytime Rian Johnson faces any criticism from this movie, he just calls you a man baby or a nerd.
Well, it's Star Wars, so
Yeah, so this is a big fuck you to Rian Johnson because you ruined Star Wars.
I don't think Rian Johnson solely ruined Star Wars, but you know,
He played a big role in it.
I think Rian
it was-
Johnson could have benefited from a second writing credit because he's the only writer and the only director.
Is he seriously the only writer in that movie?
Yes, which when all that information first came out, I was like, great, because oftentimes if you have a writer and director be the same person, you get a nice full vision of what an artist is trying to tell. However, I feel like it just was kind of flat in episode 8.
It's just that movie. Everything about that movie just makes me ill.
But hey, maybe much like Adam Sandler movies, it's doing its job because we're still talking about it almost 2 years later.
I hope not, because Star Wars is an actual respectable franchise when Adam Sandler is just a B-list actor in my eyes. Two completely different things. Well, I think we're almost running out of time, so I think that's a good way to close it off, huh?
Yeah, I mean, episode 8. What are you going to do about it?
What are you going to do about it?
are we
Just
gonna do
redeem
about
yourself in episode 9.
Yeah, I also think that J.J. Abrams, he's a competent director, but I think sometimes it's just my personal preference. I just don't like his cinematography choices.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. It's fine to have opinions, but my opinions are right and
Yeah.
yours are wrong.
It's fine to have opinions, dude. It's the internet, but you know, truth or fact, your opinions are wrong.
All right, I'm going to close off the podcast with one question. Mitch, truth or fact? Episode 8 of Star Wars is bad. Thank you for watching the 3 a.m. podcast.
Thank you for watching the 3 a.m. podcast.
Watching? Did I say watching?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Thank you for listening to the 3 a.m. podcast. And we just hope that you're out there living your best life. And thank you for coming back for another episode of Random Garbage.
Stop. All right. Can I kiss?
Yeah, dude.